Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. So we're talking about the release of the Neptune DX platform SAP Edition version 21.06.
This is an innovation release, bringing you all the new cool features that we have been working on for the last 6 months. Preparing you for the upcoming LTS release that's coming in Q3 2021 called Neptune DXP 21.
So maybe it's a good time for us to talk about what our release strategy is.
Yes. So we have been having since last year a long-term support maintenance release that's called the Neptune DX Platform 6.0. The other side of our company called the Open Edition has 2.7, but we are now aligning those versioning numbers so that everything will be called the same versioning, so that you know if you install Neptune DXP 21, you will have the same user experience in the development platform and also in the end user screens across the platforms. So if you install Neptune DXP 21, Open Edition, SAP Edition, you will get basically the same user experience.
All over.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to present today, the more SAP-centric features that's going to be in this next release.
Absolutely. And what are those features? Let's start by explaining a little bit about us as a company. You guys know us. If you're a customer or a partner, you know 600 customers, 3 million end users, 41 countries. We are a leading low-code platform. We are a fast and cost-effective way for companies to industrialize their application development, and we can actively save you time and money on development, integration, and application development.
This SAP platform has been on the market for 10 years now, so we are very experienced in developing these low-code tools.
Our SAP Edition module is definitely well proven, and
yes.
we speak SAP. We speak SAP very well. In terms of the module focus today is the SAP Edition 21.06, and we are on this edition coming up with something completely different. So we are completely changing the user experience, not for the end users, but for the developers, because we are a rapid application development platform that caters to empower any kind of developer, any kind of skill set, specifically when it comes to SAP, the ABAP developer to be able to excel and do a full stack front-end, back-end development, but using tools that are low-code, tools that enable them to get applications, Fiori applications built with UI5, using the UI5, SAP UI5 themes, out of the box, running them on the Neptune Launchpad or inside the SAP Fiori Launchpad, but without the need for high costs for maintenance, with drag and drop application development and the ability to run anywhere. So mobility, true mobility as well.
And it all starts at the logon.
Exactly. So starts with the logon. Here's definitely a big difference. So you can see it's clearly powered by Neptune software. And we want to set the tone for the developer experience from the first moment you as a developer engage with it. So what you have there on top, something very, very SAP-centric, the client. So you can log into multiple clients, and this gives you that ability out of the box. And then you can choose your language if it's made available to you to be able to choose your language. And you have all of the different things, policies, password resets, and if this screen, as you can see, is even in German.
Yeah, this is then the logon screen that's very central for what we're doing, and it's the same logon screen for both the end users and for you as a developer in the cockpit. The cockpit is only in English, but as you see, we have some mobile screens over here, and we have tried now to make the cockpit mobile friendly. It's been pretty difficult because the cockpit is built on the UI table, and that's not very mobile friendly, but we've added a little bit of JavaScript handling when the screen size changes so that you will actually be able to use your UI tables on a mobile screen.
And why doing a developer tool running on a mobile? Because there is a lot of DevOps things that you can do, like releasing a log, like checking a log of a specific API. You can do it on the fly on your mobile device. So that's kind of simplifies that as well.
The developer experience is not mobile first, it's of course desktop first, but if you really need to, you can log on to your Cockpit on your mobile client, on your mobile device, and access those vital things if it's really needful and hurry.
So how do we increase development productivity with this release? So basically, we want you to be able to focus on the tools that you have. So focus on the right tools for the right job, meaning you have ability to cater for tools that specifically focus on a specific part of or step of your application lifecycle. Then we want to make it easier to onboard. So everything is available on our e-learning, on our documentation, full guided documentation. And then you have quick actions directly on the tools and on the tiles. And when I say tiles, that's something new to the cockpit, because this, if you're a customer apartment, this is what you know. And this is what you get with this release that is now out since yesterday. We released 21.06 that brings a complete new developer experience. And you have many different parts of it, and we're actually going to show it live exactly how that is that you have ability in here to just bring in your developer skill, and we offer you perspectives. Perspectives is something that is common across other IDEs such as Eclipse, etc., where it caters for rearranging your tool, your platform, your development IDE in order to cater for what you want to do. Do I want to do DevOps? Do I want to design? Do I want to develop? And that's exactly what we have done. So now we are looking into the application lifecycle as an essential guided for the actions that you can perform. So now we're not only making it tiles and Launchpad-like kind of cockpit, so still completely role-based, but at the same time, as you have the role-based access to the cockpit, you also have the different perspectives. So you have a perspective for design, perspective for development, and a perspective for DevOps. And this is not, we don't just stick to it, is that we have now different areas that we'll show you live in a second how this is done. So you have the universal search there, top center, activated by keyboard shortcuts. You have on the left-hand side, top left-hand side, all your open services. You can configure to have your favorite services on the bottom left-hand side, and you can also configure how the cockpit actually, which color does it have. This is not your overall system configurations, is your personal configuration. So personalization is a big thing.
Should we show it?
Absolutely. But before we just show it, within the universal search, as you're going to see, you're going to have basically 3 tabs. Left-hand side, you have all the services available, and you can navigate to it using, again, keyboard shortcuts. You have your favorite services on the right-hand side, and in the center, you have your artifacts. You can search, live search directly on top of all of these 3. So Morten, show us exactly how this can be done. So
I'll do that, Hinter. So if you give me the screen, show my screen. So here it is. This is my screen here of the cockpit of today. So as you see, we now also have a dark mode. So below here, you see all your familiar services that you used to have on the left-hand side tree. Now they are based on the tile layout throughout the cockpit. And it's very good for the novice developer that they can have a little description of what's going on. And on each of those tiles, you actually have quick actions. So you can see, you can add it to favorites, and you can actually see which artifacts did I access the last.
And also with the timestamp, so you know when did you actually do it.
And these quick actions for the last used artifacts are collected within a widget on the top, combining all the services that you have in the cockpit. And you can even say, I want 20 or just 5 as a default. This will shrink down to 5 if you're on a mobile, and it will adapt to your screen width.
So just two concepts we're introducing here. We're introducing the quick actions on the tiles, and we're introducing the widgets. The widgets concept basically allows you to navigate from different tools, different artifacts directly from what the last 20 things that you've been working. And, and if you are experiencing a project, you're gonna know that you have to cater for multiple applications, potentially some APIs. You have to have multiple tile groups, Launchpad,
everything.
And then you can just basically, with one click, reach what you've been working on and completely navigate easier from one to the other one, because we also make it possible for you to use a shortcut key to go through the open applications that you have. So not just through the search, but also with, I think it's shift up and down, right?
It's alt arrow. So that this will go through the different applications that you have open, because now they are shown to the left, and they are always open, no matter if they are in the edit mode or not. Before, you only saw your open applications if they were in edit mode, but now they are just always open. When you navigate to a service and go into edit mode, you will have a little marker to the left saying this is an edit mode, so that you always knows which service is an edit mode. So to the left-hand side, you will have your open applications and your services, and to the bottom, you can decide if you want to show your favorites. It's very easy to click off and on, just a little setting. I want to show my favorites. They are always accessible within the quick search menu, your favorites, which can be drag and drop to position. And this will actually reflect out on your, if you have it here, they will of course also immediately have a reflection when you replace it. It will just switch over in the left-hand side as well.
And also the quick actions are available there, right?
Yes, so you can see, okay, I worked on this one the last. That's the project I'm working on at the moment. I click on this, straight into the artifact.
So now, for example, open the app designer. How would you open it with a keyboard shortcut?
I would say Alt S, and I would start typing app. And you see that the first hit is highlighted. I just hit enter, poof, and it opened the app designer. And of course, the app designer the cockpit will remember which choice I made the first time I open it, because I can say, do I want to open the app designer in, actually this is inside the app designer, the choices, how do we want to open the app designer, in a new tab or in a new window? So you can decide that inside your app designer. All the settings is now easily available in this drop-down menu, and I want to have it in a new tab. So of course, each time I open it from the cockpit, it will open a new tab.
And also for preview and multiple other options that you can explore for yourself.
Yeah. So some more settings that you can say that I'm in a system where I have another color, for instance. You can pull any color you want, and your top hand and navigation and the left hand navigation will automatically switch. And this will of course be remembered when you reload the application. And this will also be the same color you will have inside the app designer. So when you open the app designer will also take this color and have that as a default background and in the top as well.
Very, very good. So personalization is a big thing. And also you can personalize where you want the action buttons on each one of the tools, right?
As you can see, we have a new place to add the action buttons. The action button is now to the top right, like going with the UI5 design language in a way. But if you're on a very big screen, it can be a little bit cumbersome to always have to go all the way to the right. So you can say, nope, I want to have them a little bit more to the middle, so that the action buttons will be a little bit more reachable within your working area. Because
what if I want them to the left?
You can say all the way to the left to give me a small. You have it like this.
Very good. So it becomes depending on your preferences,
yeah.
and it will remember these preferences the next time you open this environment.
And if you go on
even on a different computer, right?
On a different computer. This is all stored in the server. And if you go small screen, everything will switch down to icons. And if you go even smaller, everything will go below. So it's very responsive, all we're doing. And I can showcase you how the UI table will shrink down with the fields depending on how wide your screen is. And you can of course always go in here and say which fields do you want to have showcased, because there's a lot of fields in this application. Maybe you don't want everything. And then you can also drag and drop your rows and your columns, and this will be remembered, of course, next time you go in here and say it can be remembered, and it will be showcased in the same place.
And also it's important to say that it will remember everything, and it will remember by tool, by service, which one. If you're on the tile, you do this on the tile, you remember that on the tile you have that preference. The same thing with sorting. It will remember how you want the data to be sorted on every single service.
One thing I like, because I I like to work on the items I used the most. So I always search every artifact, every services. I always take sort on the change on and sort descending. Then I always know how to go this. And this is also available with inside your SAP M tables. We've added a new framework that you can use in your applications, and it's used throughout the Launchpad and throughout the cockpit of ours, that when you go in and add, for instance, let's say that I want to add a new tile, your tile will also be remembered. And this is an M table. It's not as many options. You just click on one on the top, and it will just switch back and forth. And this will be remembered throughout the applications. And it's very useful when you go in and you have your newest created tile on the top, because that's probably the one you want to add to your tile group.
And also, there is also an ability now to run embedded. So, for example, if we go to a Launchpad, open a tile, it will run embedded, or I can say I want to run it on the open application.
Yeah, that is now unified across the Open Edition and the SAP Edition, that if you click on one of those where used, or you can have it, even have it multiple places inside of here. You can go say, I have a layout maybe inside of here. It's locked, okay, it's locked. If it's locked from inside of here, I'm not allowed to open it because it's locked inside of here. So we have to go to the service itself. But you can actually do that as well. You can actually go from here and open the tile group into the service if it was not able.
If it's the navigation.
If it's not in edit mode, of course. If you go to display mode, let's say go to a Launchpad. I of course search, go in here, find a tile group. I say I want to see this tile group. This is cool. I can go in here and I can edit stuff here. I can save it and I can use it. But see, this one, I want to work more on this one. Let me open this in the service itself. Deep navigation inside here, straight into the tile group, and that's throughout the application. I wanted to showcase that it's not only on the where used list, it's also in the. Let's see, where was my Launchpad? Let's go into general and we go down here. Do we have anything? No, let me add, for instance, an enhancement spot. Let's take the one searched, of course, like the newest one first. You will be able to navigate to the service from within the different areas where you're using the service. You open this, a new tab or a new dialog, and you can, of course, open that in the enhancement.
Amazing. This is just contextualize where you are, how do you want to experience, and it just makes it, I believe, extremely better navigation for getting the job done, basically. But we're doing more than just changing the developer experience, right? We are significantly improving and accelerating
performance. That's actually the one most unique feature of this new release. And the one we've been working with the most is actually something that we don't see in the front end at all. So me being a front end developer, I of course like to speak about colors and forms, but we have a whole team in the SAP core team in Neptune that's been working on improving performance deep down on the core level of SAP.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we can do does not exist outside of Neptune. So take this example. I'm going to show you this live exactly how we can do it. So you have a request fetches 25,000 records of the table DD02L that has about 260,000 entries. So I'm fetching in one go 20,000 entries. So that's a nice payload. And with the data, you get that graphic that's there on top. Okay. And if you have doing this, fetching the same payload using an AJAX call in an application, we can now accelerate your existing apps at least 7 times compared to apps built on top of our data. So the performance of fetching through an AJAX call on an application, data, the same payload, is 7 times faster.
That's what you've been used to up until now, and that's why Neptune is running so much faster than what you're used to with normal SAP.
Exactly, but we can do better. So for REST, we can now do 19 times better. And now we're introducing an XSLT based REST protocol that basically creates a data model transformation.
It's a transformation, yes.
That makes the payload be able to be fetched at least 29 times faster. So this is something that is unheard of. So today, you know that for integrating with SAP, you have OData, you have SOAPs, and you have the good old iDocs, right? None of them are as performant as this by any comparison. And better than showing you a PowerPoint, let me just show you this on the environment. So we have a threshold that when we start, when we run this for the first time, you're going to have basically that the application's JSON based, the AJAX is 2.94 times. This is before 2106. Before 2106, the JSON calls would be 3 times, let's say, faster than OData. The REST 11 and the REST XSLT, it's 12 times. And that we're introducing that, but you need to have NetWeaver Stack 7.5 in order to be using this technology. So what you have here is an application that fetches in one go from OData, from using an AJAX, from using a REST or using a REST XSLT, the same payload, the same data, and you can see the results on the right-hand side. And you're going to say, okay, Helder, how is it that those numbers do not reflect what you have on PowerPoint? Yeah, and the reason is because I haven't tuned it. So if I go here into our designer, I go to the API that I'm using, and I just say I want now to compress, and I want to compress with XSLT, save. Now I'll have the 2 bottom ones, they will be much faster. But what if I want to speed up my good old apps? How can this 21.06 increase dramatically the speed of the apps that you have without zero recoding? Is that you just come here to your designer, and where you have your AJAX ID calls, you have a new button here, XSLT transformation. I'm going to activate, going to the application, and I'm going to refresh. Now, this will take a little bit for the data and much less for the rest. So let's see the results live. This is that application, and I just changed the settings for the JSON age, the REST, and the REST XSLT with compression. So, so actually the results are actually even better. So now we got JSON 10 times faster. So what we're saying is that before it was 3 times faster, now it's 10 times faster. What we are just telling you is that with one click, you can get your apps 3 times faster.
Why, Helder, isn't this enabled throughout the platform?
Because this is an experimental feature that we will make it non-experimental when we go to LTS in September.
Because there's one caveat. When you are using these transformations, you are building a transformation based on the structures and the tables you are trying to convert into your front end, and that has to be generated. So if there's a change in the structure or in the data type, this needs to be regenerated. That's why we cannot activate this throughout the platform in one go. You need to be aware of this, and you need to be doing this actively so that the XSLT transformation can be regenerated when you have changed your data. We have a failsafe in place so that if we encounter that the transformation is not working, we fall back to the good old solution and an email sent to the XSLT administrator that you can go in and regenerate it. And in the future, we'll work with a solution that will generate these XSLT transformations automatically, so that if we encounter an error, we will regenerate it so that the user will only see a little glip of performance issue, and then we'll be back up and running with no time. But that's in the future. That's why you need to enable this manually at the moment.
So basically that kill switch is basically that it deactivates in here the XSLT transformation, and I was just showing what this transformation all about. So basically you get the XSLT transformation that is generated on the fly upon the request, but we also have the kill switch and even a setting to send automatically an email to the system admin, so the XSLT admin to kind of fix the problem. So we're not just happy with making it faster, we want to make it sustainable for any kind of demand. So what we've done is that we have created a test where we are using K6 performance tool to analyze the following. We are running 5 to 300 concurrent users, virtual users, making the same request, which is 50 records payload.
A small payload.
A small payload.
But a lot.
But a lot of requests. And we run the test for 30 seconds. The authentication or access to ACP is done through a VPN and with basic authentication on the header. This is a comparison, direct comparison between OData and REST applications based on Neptune. And you can even see here on the bottom, you can see our server details that we use. So complete transparency. What we achieved, and you can see these numbers down here, is outstanding. So if you want, you can pause this video and look at the numbers, but we made it simple for you, so let's visualize it. What you can take from here is that you can see that OData performance deprecates substantially and even completely stops working on this particular setup from the moment that you go over 80 to 90 requests per second. And when you do that, it completely stops. If you see Neptune, there is no bottleneck. Simply, you can run way faster, way many, and these numbers are even increased from the moment the payload is even higher. So this is a no-brainer for application development on top of ACP that you should use Neptune versus using any other tool, including ACP tooling.
Correct.
Because the performance that you get here, not only because you can develop applications with low code on a platform that is not only certified by ACP, but running ability to run on any stack of ACP, and that's NetWeaver 705, HANA database, S4HANA. You can run it all. You can also do this using all your customization being used, using your own IT resources, and you can build applications that are Cordova-based for iOS, Android, and Windows 10, progressive web applications with online and offline capabilities, authentication to your Azure AD, authentication directly with ACP portal, ACP mobile services, basic authentication directly to the NetWeaver, you name it. So this is something that you should definitely consider. So other things that are also
just
new,
one little thing here, because when these transformations then have been done, and we send the data to the front end, this is done then in JSON. And in previous versions, this was done in like a non-standard way where we concatenated the result into a long string and had that URL encoded, so that the results both going to the client and going from the client to the backend was a little bit difficult to read. Now the payload is totally JSON based, and you can actually see which backend modules and structures are sent to the backend. So then when you see in your debugging tool and you see in your network log, you see that exactly which kind of backend data is sent to the backend. So that is very easy for you to debug it and see where are the errors in your data. So that's just one little extra feature going out of these transformations.
Absolutely. Going to speaking of compliance and making it more usable. So one of the other aspects of here is that we are giving better integration with the ACP Fiori Launchpad. But how are we doing that? We're doing that by...
What we've seen is that the Neptune Launchpad had a lot of tools that enables you to use a lot of services that will speed up the development and reuse some of your components. So we've taken the app cache load, that's the framework in the Launchpad, and it's only been able to be used in the Launchpad where you can take one application and load another application inside a parent object.
A fragment. A
fragment, so that you can have maybe your detail application, just a little snippets that can be reused in many applications, and that you can then reload or load into your applications, sometimes even multiple places in the same application. We've taken that functionality out of the Launchpad and is serving that to stand-alone applications so that you can use the app cache load also in standalone applications, which basically is what we are running in Fiori Launchpad. So you can leverage the app cache load framework in the Fiori Launchpad where you load an application in a parent object and also as a dialog.
So basically, an app can call other apps, and the app can be composed of multiple fragment applications. And you can also run this natively, not only inside the Neptune Launchpad, but you can run this inside the SAP Fiori Launchpad.
That's the one most thing that we've seen people asking for. Can we get this functionality outside of the Launchpad? Exactly. So that's the first thing we're checking out and presenting to you in this 2106 release.
Perfect. Another thing that we are offering you is now configuration of dark and light mode. Just to put it into context, basically you have a tile configuration where you can define how the tile in the tile group will actually react to a light themes and dark themes. So I will hand over to you, Martin.
Yeah. So let's see, I should accept something here, show my screen.
There you go.
So normally you've been used to open your tiles and adding all the layout in your tiles itself. But now we pulled out the layout itself in what we call a tile layout. So you can reuse that across multiple tiles and also tile groups. So as you see in this tool, you will have different options to add layout colors and also images to each tile layout. And we've enhanced the color picker options in the Launchpad, so you can now use transparent colors. But let's try and see what we've done in this. So you basically say, these are all the colors that I want to have on my tile. And then you can go into your where used list and see where are those used. I have one tile here. Let's see how that's configured. So you just say, for this tile, I want to have this light theme and this dark theme. And all the other things as well. The image itself goes, of course, onto the tile itself, because that's pretty personal. It's onto it should be context specific. So it's like the image, of course, should reflect what's going on inside the tile. But those can also be configured for light and a dark mode, because now we support the SAP Quartz Fiori dark theme. Very good. And we also support that for you creating your own themes. So now we see this same tile here as in a light mode with a light, bright, snowy image from Norway. But if you see the same thing in a dark mode, everything changes. The theme changes and the color changes and the image changes. And even the icon within can change. Look at all those images. These are SVG images used from our new icon set. And they will change for the light and dark mode as well. So that was also for the tile group itself, of course, because you see now we have an inverted icon on the top, like this powered by is like this with white text, and in the light theme, it's like the darker color. So this is also configurable on the tile group itself. So you don't need to know in which tile groups or in which layout these runs. You can say, I don't know what the designer wants to use. Okay, he wants to create a dark theme. I don't know what the exact colors of this theme is, but I know it's dark. So of course I want to have an inverted image to go by that theme. So then you can change it. Maybe you have two different kinds of dark themes. That one is with a purple flare, one with a greenish, but your tile group would be a dark themed tile group.
Because also now we fully support the SAP UI5 themes, correct?
Before you would have to design your Launchpad layout, the headers and all the colors and everything. Now we are able to use the SAP UI5 theme CSS variables inside your layout and throughout your applications and your Launchpad configuration. So for those of you designing know that there's something called less and SAS. That's a higher level of styling language where you compile your variables into CSS. But with the later versions of CSS, you can have your variables directly inside your CSS style sheet. And SAP is delivering these CSS variables within the theme. So when you import a theme into Neptune Cockpit, we extract all those variables, and they will be added as a style sheet within the Launchpad itself. So when you go into debug mode and see your elements, you will very quickly see that there's a lot of variables going here in the root element, and all these colors are coming from the theme, and they changes and they can be accessible from throughout your theme, and there are about 425 from this. And you see, those are the ones that we are overridden. We have a little bit of a shell navigation border color. We are saying we want to have a little bit of configuration possibility for that. So that can be, and all of those can be overridden by you in your Launchpad or your layout. But let me just show you what a typical layout will look like if you add just a theme. So let's search for the desktop for the layout, the Launchpad layout, and let me find. I know this one is a good one. You see, this one is based on a theme that I created. It's a Quartz Dark theme. I know the UI5 version, so I know which UI5 versions to add in Launchpad. And when you go into the style sheet, you see there's no colors added here. But where are all those colors coming from? They are coming from the layout. And when you go into, or from the theme, when you go into edit mode, you will see what those variable names are. And this is a very good way for you to see, does my theme fit what I want? Or should I overwrite this darkish grayish color that you see on the top? And this totally reflects what you see in the Launchpad. So you can create everything you need inside an SAP UI5 theme. So good luck theming.
Absolutely. Another good thing, if you go back to that Launchpad that you had there, what we are already supporting the vast majority of the integration cards that SAP has been delivering, with the exception of one, which was the integration card analytical one. And you can see that there is one there. So we are fully supporting it now.
Totally served by ABAP. So everything you see here is generated by ABAP, coming into the Launchpad as a manifest.
Absolutely. And another thing that we are now doing is that
that one.
We are doing something that is called master client configuration. So if I just show you here what that means, is that the master client configuration means that you can have the Launchpad logon of the users to a specific SAP client, but then you can have different tiles that open different apps running on different SAP clients into the same Launchpad, mobile client, etc. So when we say Launchpad, we also mean that it will be something that will run automatically on a mobile device, same way, right? But
so the thing is that your Launchpad configuration is client dependent. Your applications is throughout all the clients, but we've seen customers that have a multi-client system. They want to be able to create all the Launchpad configuration in one client. Let's say the 100 client. Mm-hmm. So you go into 100 client and you say, I want to create Launchpad. I create multiple tile groups, multiple tiles, and then you enable different clients. That's of course enabled in your system. Say, I want to have this Launchpad to be able to run on this, and this client. Then you give the URL to the end users with the specific client, or even just the generic, because then the end user will either be able to choose the client if you want so, or you will just specify the client in the URL, and when the client then logs on in that other client, the user data will be read from that client, but the master data from the configuration of the Launchpad will be read from the master client. But all the data from the user and all the master data from the HR department and their financial tables will be read from the logon client. So this enables you to create a truly one-time setup for a multi-client system.
Absolutely.
Not so much in use, but those using it will be very happy to hear about this.
Exactly. And another thing that we are coming with now, among many other things that you can find on the release notes, is the cache buster. What is the cache buster?
You know, when you're serving a file, it's a URL, and both the SAP system is very fond of caching that file, but also the client say, I know this file, this is a good file, and then you change the file, but it's the same freaking URL. So the client is not so good at discovering that there's been a change. So both SAP and now also we have added the cache buster. It's just an extra parameter to the end of the URL. So whenever you upgrade your Neptune installation, the cache buster will be the installation number. When you save a Launchpad, the cache buster will be the save date. When you save a new application, the style sheet has often been a difficult problem because the style sheet has the same URL called app CSS. Now that will get the cache buster of the save date of the application.
So it will guarantee you that you get the refresh of all of these very sticky kind of files,
and that has
in a very good way.
Enabled us. That has been made it possible for us to cache those files very, very strictly. So now, if it's on the client, it will be cached. It will always be read from cached unless the cache buster changes. And if you have certain requirements that you have maybe changed something in your system, you can, in the cockpit settings, go in and override the cache buster. So you can set a new cache buster parameter or variable, and it could be whatever you want, whenever you want.
Absolutely. And
it will save a lot of support. My application is not working after upgrading.
Exactly.
Now it will.
Clear the cache.
Yeah, clear
now
the cache.
You don't need to do that. But you can find a lot of other new features that might be actually what you're needing, what you're looking for.
This was just a little bit of what's coming.
Exactly. This was just a little bit of what's out there right now with 2106. So feel free to just jump on the release notes, and if you have any questions, please feel free to address us directly by email or reach us out on the community. We'll be happy to support you on your journey with Neptune, and we hope that this upgrade will definitely bring a lot of good developer experience for you guys as well.
Yes.
So thank you all for joining us today, and please leave your comments below or reach us out directly on the community.
Happy Neptuning.
Happy Neptuning.
Bye.
Bye.